This video has an insane amount of Dollar Tree DIY crafts, perfect for summer. So let's get to it. We're going to start with this tube style one. This is the first time I've seen this style at the Dollar Tree. I removed the sticker, but it left quite a bit of sticky residue. So I'm going to use Goo Gone if you've never used it. It's a little oily, but it does remove any goo from any sticky residue. So you just add a little bit on a rag and then wipe it off. Now you do have to really wipe it off, especially if you're going to paint or add anything to the surface. So I'm going to use a disinfecting wipe, just to remove that excess oil. All right, we're going to remove the stake because we're not going to need that part. And we're going to remove the top, remove the little tag, and make sure that it works. I always like to try them. That way I know for sure they work. I'm going to put it back together and we're going to place it on this little towel just to kind of hold it in place. Dollar Tree has an entire selection of stickers, including these rub-on ones that I love using. So we're going to take one of these styles and we're going to transfer them onto this light. Wait until you see how cute this turned out. All right, so cut off the B portion, wiped the surface really well, and then I'm just going to hold it in place and just start attaching it. I'm going to use this scraper, but you can also use maybe a credit card or a gift card, whatever you have on hand. And then look how cute that transferred. It has a little bit of a distressed, and love that look. I'm going to add a couple other actually 4 little bees right around it just to add, I don't know, just more style, I guess. And then it was so easy to attach. Once they were there, it's looking so adorable already. You can leave as is, place it anywhere in your home, and at night it'll light up, and it's so cute. But of course, I'm going to add a little bit of embellishments. This little yellow ribbon is from Dollar Tree and it has a honeycomb style look, which is perfect for this. We're going to wrap it around the bottom edge, securing it in place with hot glue and cutting off the excess. I'm going to add greenery to the front, but of course you don't have to do this. You can skip this part if you'd like. I'm going to face one to each side, and then Dollar Tree has these little insect stickers that are so cute. They're made out of wood and they already have a little sticky part to it, but I'm going to add a little bit of glue and place one in the center of the greenery and then another one on the top. I just thought it needed a little friend. So we're going to place that there, and that's it. How cute is this? I'm going to show you how it looks like in the dark, and let me tell you, is one of my favorites, which is why I put it first. But let me know what you think of this one down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to take this mason jar style, although it's a little fancier. It has this texture and look. I'm going to use this one for this project, and then we're going to, of course, remove the sticker from the bottom and remove the lid because we're not going to need it. I'm going to wipe everything really well, removing any dust or smudges, and then we're going to take some Mod Podge. Now, this is way too much Mod Podge. You do not need this much. I added a little bit of agave color Waverly Chalk Mint just to give it a tint. And then we're going to spread it around the surface on the outside of the jar. You don't have to worry about doing the thread on top, but I just wanted to give this a nice tint. Dollar Tree's crafting aisle has tons of wooden items that you can use for crafting, including plaques like this one. I love using these for crafts. Now, they do come a little rough to the touch, so I'm just going to sand it down using my sanding block. Dollar Tree carries sanding blocks, sandpaper, just use whatever you have on hand. Dusted really well, and I'm just going to give it one coat of a sandstone Waverly Chalk Mint. We're going to do the sides and the top. This is what the jar is looking like. How cute. All right, we're going to paint the top using the Waverly Chalk Mint in the ink because it's very black. And we're just going to do the top. Try to stay as steady as possible, but don't look for perfection. I did give it a couple of coats and let that dry. These little wooden turtles are so adorable. I love using these, and I'm just going to cover up that little hole using some spackle. You can find this spackle at Dollar Tree in the automobile aisle. At least that's where I find it in mine. We're going to let that quickly dry, and then we're going to give it a coat of Waverly Chalk Mint in the moss, and I'm going to do the front and the back. The jar is nicely dry and it's looking so good. So let's add the solar light. We're going to add another one of those tube style. We're going to remove the top. We're going to remove the tag, make sure that it works, and it does. And then we're going to place it right inside, and it fits beautifully. snug enough for it not to come off, and it goes so well with that black rim. Isn't that nice? All right, we're just going to place it on top of the plaque. I'm not going to hot glue it. It's not needed, but I am going to hot glue this orb. This is a nautical style orb. I'm just going to hot glue it right there. I am going to add this little starfish from Dollar Tree just to add a little bit of texture and design. And we're going to hot glue the turtle right there in the front. How adorable is this? It lights up so beautiful. Wait until you see it in the dark. I'd love to know what you think of this one. Let me know down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to start with this mason jar is thrifted. This one is from the thrift store, and we're just going to wipe it, remove dust and any smudge it, and then we are going to paint it white. I'm using Waverly chalk paint in the white. I'm going to do one heavy coat and let it dry. It's not needed unless you want full coverage. I didn't want full coverage because we are going to be distressing it. We're going to put it to the side, let it dry, and this is what it looks like. See how it's not perfect, and that's okay. We're going to use the wet distress technique. I'm just going to damp a piece of a rag, and we're just going to start removing slowly. You want to do this very soft. Just start rubbing off the paint wherever it would naturally distress. Now, you can skip this part if this is not your style. Let it be full coverage. That's okay. But I do like every so often to give it a farmhouse distress look. So I am just going to do that until I like what I see. We're going to use some burlap ribbon. We're going to fold it in half and wrap it around the top of the jar twice, securing it with hot glue. You can use any other ribbon you want. You can use rope, whatever you want. Now I wanted to add another layer, so we're going to use the same ribbon we used in the previous project, and we're just going to layer it and stack it right there in the center, right there around the jar, again securing it with hot glue. This is going to be a vase where we're going to add some florals. I'm going to add greenery. I'm going to add some eucalyptus that I did get at Walmart. You can add whatever you want. Whatever you have from Dollar Tree is fine. This sunflower will also go right in there. It's gorgeous. Now this solar light is adorable. It has the shape of a sunflower. So we're going to remove the paper. We're going to remove the stake. And then we're going to remove the little tab and make sure that it works, of course. And it does. And then we're going to place it right inside just to give the other sunflower a little friend to hang out with. But look how adorable this is, and at night it lights up. Such a fun project and so easy. You can do whatever design you want on the vase. Love to know what you think of this one. Let me know down in the comments. We are going to take this horizontal wooden sign. It was left over from the fall season. I'm just going to roughen up the surface with my electric sander, and then we are just going to dust it really well. We want to paint it. We don't want that fall design to show. So I am going to use Waverly chalk pen in the white, and I'm just going to give it one coat. It's not going to show a lot, but we just want to brighten it up and make it nice and blank slate. All right, so we are going to put that to the side to dry, and then we're going to work with our flip-flops. I'm going to use 3 different sizes. These are smaller ones. They're not exactly the same size, and it's okay. I'm also going to be using these Dollar Tree letters. You can find these in the school aisle, and I'm going to spell out the word summer. So I'm just going to place 1 letter in each flip-flop to the bottom part. If you have a cutting machine, you can use any color vinyl you want, but just to keep it in the Dollar Tree inexpensive side, we are going to use these, and they look really nice. The only thing is they didn't stick very well, so I did have to reinforce some of them, actually all of them, here and there with a little bit of hot glue to make sure they're not going to come off. Now this is a design that you're going to put either inside or outdoors, but it has to be covered because these are paper letters and they will not hold up to the elements. On my last flip-flop video, I did add some of these little flowers on top of flip-flops. I loved the look, and I'm going to repeat that in this one, but instead of pink and yellow flowers, I am going to use pink and purple. So we're just going to poke a hole using my screwdriver on this side, just close enough to the thong, and then we're going to add a little hot glue and add a flower. This just adds texture, color, just so much fun. And I did that on all 6 flip-flops. The board is now dry and we're going to start putting everything together. So we're going to start in the center and work our way outwards. So I'm going to start with the 2 M's and I'm just going to hot glue it. Now these are very lightweight flip-flops. They are made out of foam, so the glue really sticks to that board. And we're just going to add the other 4 flip-flops on each side. How fun is this? I saw something very similar on Pinterest and I knew I could recreate using Dollar Tree items. These little hooks I get on Amazon, they come in a set of different sizes, and I do have them on my Amazon store, which is always linked in the description box if you want to check them out. I'm just going to screw them in. You just kind of start twisting them until it screws in, and I'm going to add 1 on each side, leaving about 1 to 1.5 inches from each side. I'm going to use some white nautical rope from Dollar Tree, and we're just going to knot it, and that's it. What an easy craft anyone can do. So inexpensive and so fun. You can add anything to it, not just the word summer. You can add your last name. You can add whatever you want. The possibilities are endless. It is fun. It is easy. Love the colors. What do you think of this one? Let me know down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to take this Shell Wreath form from Dollar Tree. This was left over from last year summer snatch, and this half foam ball. I cut it for a previous project. I'm going to slice it again just to make a smaller flat foam piece, and we're going to poke a couple of holes because we are going to attach it using zip ties to the bottom left hand corner. Now I thought I added 1, but I did end up add 2 because I just wanted to be nice and sturdy and it not moving on me because we are attaching quite a bit to it. All right, so we're going to cut off the excess using my wire cutters, and then we're going to bring in these fun flip-flops. They complement the design so beautifully. So we're just going to stack them, and at first I thought I could hot glue them like I did in the previous project, but it was not hot gluing easily at all with the foam melting. So I decided to poke holes and add zip ties like I did. And then we're just going to make sure that we are zip tying them towards the back and securing in place. I'm going to do the same thing with the other flip-flop right next to it, making sure that one's just a little taller than the other. It is looking so pretty. Now, Dollar Tree has these coastal pigs. I had never seen them before. They brought them in this year. Love the designs. They have such a beautiful, beachy, summer fun look to them. I'm going to use several of them. I'm going to separate all the little pigs from each pig, and then we're just going to cut and hot glue and insert inside the foam as you want. So I'm just going to add some here in between the flip-flops just to add texture and a lot of color, and then we're going to add several towards the outside of the flip-flops. That way it's just going to fill that area up, but I'm not going to add any towards the bottom right corner because we're going to add something different. Once the pigs were in place, I'm going to add this last one here. Now, I have never worked with deco mesh, this like decorative mesh. Never. And I have crafted for years, my friends. This is my very first time working with it. Had I felt it before? Yeah, I can't remember where, but I don't think I've ever worked with it. At least I don't remember, but it's okay. We're going to use this beautiful blue tone one because it complements the design beautifully. I'm going to zigzag it, just kind of flip it one side and then to the other side, just creating about a 12-inch or maybe 13-inch kind of like bow. We're just going to tie it in the center here with some zip tie, cut off the excess, and then add one more. And we're going to put it right there towards behind the flip-flops. And that way, we're just going to nicely tuck it in there, zip tie it nicely tight. And when you flip it over, it looks so cute. I love the pop of color. So cute. All right, so I still felt like something was missing. Now, Dollar Tree has all of these seashells and designs that have wood beads. Love these for crafting. I'm going to take this seashell one, and we are going to actually remove the seashell, but we're going to keep those beads because we are going to use them. Now, I am going to hot glue the seashell right here in the center. I just wanted to, first of all, cover the zip ties. And secondly, I just wanted to add a pop of like contrast color. And the white was beautiful. I'm going to thread the bead garland right through the deco mesh. This is just going to add texture and a pop of color. And then these little thumbtacks, they have a jewel tones to them. They look like pearls, and I think it complements the cutest design. I love this. I am going to remove the prickly part with my wire cutter, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of glue and then just add to the deco mesh. I'm going to add 3 different tones there, and then I'm going to add one more on the hole where the seashell is. Several of you have called me out saying you should cover that hole. So here I am. I did cover it up, and look how beautiful this is. It looks so beachy, so coastal. Would love to know what you think. Let me know down in the comments. We're going to start with these 4 gorgeous golden and glittery frames I found, and I cannot believe that they already have this texture and this color. We're going to remove all from it, including the paper inside, but we are going to keep the glass. Why? Because we're going to use it. All right, so we are going to remove the little black clips completely, not just open them, because then you're going to be able to see through the glass. So we're just going to hot glue the glass onto each frame. Now, each of my glass had some sort of smudge on it. I could not figure out what it was. It was not oily. It was not dusty. I cannot figure it out. Even after wiping with a wet wipe, it's still there. It's okay. You can't really see it when you're just looking at it, but if you really look at it, you can see it. But nonetheless, we're going to move on. We're just going to hot glue it to the frame, as I mentioned earlier. We're going to add a tiny little bit of glue on all over the edge, and then we're just going to place it and hold it until it hardens. And now we're going to put everything together, creating a box. Now, looking back, I wish I would have left the front one with a kind of like one frame in the front. You're going to see what I'm talking about. I stacked them like one each behind each other. And then when you look at it from the front, you can really see that end, that one side is like you can see the seam. It's okay. It's not a game changer. I just would have done that differently, just so that you know. All right, so now we're going to bring in some stickers. Now, you can add whatever you want to the glass. You can add a decal if you have a cutting machine, but some of these stickers are awesome from Dollar Tree. The butterflies are one of my favorites. These stars will look great for a Christmas theme one. You can also add a pop of color if you want and add some florals. And then, of course, we have the decals that have this golden tone flowers. So cute. Now, for this one, I'm just going to stick with my favorite, which are the butterflies. I'm going to just do one on each side panel. Why? Because I just don't want to overwhelm it. I just want it to be a nice detail. Now, you can add whatever you want to the inside. You can add florals, you can add candles like I'm doing, you can add fairy lights, whatever you want. These faux candles I get on Amazon, and I do have them on my Amazon store, which it is linked down in the description box. They are battery operated, remote control, and they flicker like real candles. They are awesome. Look how gorgeous this looks with the faux boxwood in it. Love the way this one turned out, but I'd love to know what you think of it. Let me know down in the comments. Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to take this 8x10 frame from the Dollar Tree, and we are going to just remove everything from it. Now, the glass was broken, so I'm going to be very careful, and it was broken when I purchased it, but I knew what I wanted to make with it, so it did not matter. I'm going to remove the back, the paper, as well as the glass, of course, and then those little tabs in the back, carefully pulling them off. I'm going to paint the frame in the beautiful Waverly Chalk Pen moss color, but you can do whatever you want. You can paint it in whatever color or leave it as is. It depends on what style you want. I did one coat. I wish I would have done 2. In the end, it was okay, but looking back again, I would have done 2. All right, so we're going to put that to the side, and it looks beautifully dry. We're going to take this ribbon from Dollar Tree. It has a beautiful ticking stripe style, and we're going to start hot gluing it in a zigzag motion. So I'm just going to add a little dab of glue on one end, and then angle cut it and glue it just like you see me there, and then do it again, and then one more time all the way to the bottom. It's looking so cute already. All right, we're going to add some florals. These are a bundle that I got at Walmart. Love their selection. They are really good bang for your buck. I'm going to remove just one of the picks, including the leaves and the flower. We're going to start drilling a hole right there in the corner. This is so that we can add that little leftover pick on the back of each flower. We're just going to add a little glue and then place it right there. Then we're going to start adding the leaves just all around the flower just to add texture, color, and just a beautiful feminine touch. And then we are just going to add a little hot glue, and that's it. It will go a long way. I think this one turned out absolutely stunning. It's one of my favorites. What a fun way to display notes, photos, or whatever you want on it. Let me know what you think of this one. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we are going to take this patriotic style frame. Even though it was not meant to be patriotic, I think the red, white, and blue really gives it that like look. So we're going to make something here patriotic, but of course you can use it as an inspiration and make your own style. I'm going to take this piece of scrap poster board, and I'm going to take a calendar from the Dollar Tree, and we're just going to add one of the, just a small portion of this July calendar page. We're going to cut off the established in 1776, and then we're going to add it onto the poster board. Now I'm going to try to mimic the design that is already on the calendar page, and I'm just going to add some gray distressed stripes, and then when we place it, it's not going to look as defined, which is what I wanted. We're going to place it right there in the center with some double-sided tape, and then we're going to place it right inside the frame, just like you see me doing here. In the holiday aisles from Dollar Tree, you can find different decors for different holidays, including 4th of July and Memorial Day. These little ornaments are so cute, and they're great for crafting as well. I'm going to cut off one star from each color, and we are going to hot glue them around the frame just to add a little bit more of that patriotic style. And a little glue goes a long way because they are very lightweight. I added the red and the blue towards each bottom side, and then we're going to add the white one on top. But you can do whatever design you want. I think it's such an easy, so festive, so beautiful craft you can make even right now. It's so easy. Let me know what you think of this one. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we are going to take these gorgeous puzzle style frames. They're 4x6s. And I thought, why not make something? I mean, you don't even have to do anything with it. You can buy them all in the black or all in the white, or mix match them like I did here. And you can also buy multiple, not just 4. Love that they can actually join together like a puzzle. How fun. You can do any design you want, like you see me doing here. I'm just going to stick with like a square design. But again, you can do whatever you want. I went onto Canva and I just printed out some of these designs, just little encouraging phrases for my daughter because I am going to gift this to her. And we're just going to cut them to fit one in each frame. The key is you want them to fit to the size. So I'm just going to use one of the backing, and then we're going to use that to trace and cut each design so that it fits nice and perfectly in each frame. Once cut, of course, we're just going to place them. Just make sure that they are facing the right direction, of course. And we're just going to place the design first, and then the backing just like it came. And then, of course, secure it with the little tabs from the back. And we're going to do one in each frame. How fun is this looking? Now you can add a rope, ribbon, whatever you want to the top and hang it that way. I didn't want to do that because I wasn't sure what design she's going to want for her bedroom. But remember, you can also hot glue them together so they don't come apart. Possibilities are endless. How fun, how easy, and what a great craft and gift you can give someone. Absolutely love the way this one turned out, but let me know what you think of this one. I had this one left over from a previous project that I did. I'm going to remove that excess panel and just keep 2 of them. On my last video, I created a little chair, decorative chair that you can use for your decor. This one, I am going to show you how to make a cute little decorative bench. I used my wire cutters and my blade knife to remove any excess from the side and make it as smooth as possible. This piece of 1x4 is a scrap piece that I had. I cut it to the same size as the actual fence. So use whatever you have on hand. You can also use Dollar Tree panels. Anything you have would work. I'm going to dry fit it where I want to place it, and I'm going to make a few marks just to know where I am going to drill a few holes because we do have to attach it. I will use my Ryobi drill to make the holes. Just make sure that you are using a drill bit that is large enough to fit the zip tie that you're going to be using for this project. Once I had the 4 holes made, I'm just going to lightly sand with my sanding block. Now this piece of wood already had the stain from what I used it before, but you can paint it or stain it in whatever color you want. I'm going to first hot glue it to the fence, and then we are going to add zip ties, as I mentioned earlier, 4 of them. And I'm going to make sure that the little sticky part, like the excess part, is going to be facing downwards. And then I'm going to use my wire cutter to remove the excess. We have somewhat of a bench, but we need a couple extra legs. So I'm going to remove the stakes from some excess fences, and I'm just going to dry fit it right next to that other one. That way I know exactly the size that I need and use my wire cutters to cut it, and then use that one to create a second one. And this is what we're going to hot glue to the front of the bench. Again, this is decorative. This is not to place anything heavy on. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue, reinforcing with extra hot glue in the front, the back, and the sides. A little bit clean though, because I don't want to see all that excess glue, but just looking at it. So I'm just going to do that and then hold it in place until it hardens. And it does take a few seconds, but it's okay. Now for the chair that I created in my previous project, I added a little bundle of flowers. For this one, I want to keep it greenery. I want to keep it simple. So I'm just going to use these eucalyptus picks. I'm just going to make little bundles, just 2 of them. Secure it with some jute string at the bottom, and then we are going to make a second one because I want to place one on each side. Again, I don't want to place anything heavy on this bench. I just want to add some greenery, texture, color, just make it look nice and pretty. So I'm just going to hot glue 1 to each side. This is completely optional. You can do whatever you want, paint it in whatever color you want. I happen to love the way this one turned out. The colors, the size, so cute. But I'd love to know what you think of this one. Let me know down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we are going to remove 2 panels, the outside panels from this full set. Again, I'm going to use my wire cutters and my blade knife to make sure that they are removed as well as smooth. Now, when you are using your blade knife, please be very careful, and when you are slicing, just slice outwards, not towards you, okay? Just be very careful. And of course, use any gloves if you need that. All right, this bee-themed home sign is from Dollar Tree. I removed that jute string, and I'm going to carefully remove the bee because we are going to use that in the next project. I am going to sand down the surface. This is just going to remove any excess paper and roughen up that surface, the sheen, because we want to paint this. I'm going to wipe it really well. That way we're not painting over any dust. I'm going to take one of the panels and just kind of dry fit it to the side. I am going to make sure that the top of the sign aligns with that little tip right there. Not the top of the fence, but the little tip. And that way it's going to stick up a little bit, just a little bit. All right, so now we are going to mark and use my ruler to make a line. Do the same thing on the other side. And then I'm going to show you how I'm going to cut this board. I haven't used this technique in so long, but if you've been following me for a while, you know the technique that you want to score, snap, and sand. All right, so we're going to score it a few times right down that line we drew. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And then you just want to snap it until it comes off. Now, there's going to be some excess board. That's okay. We are going to continually clean that up with the blade knife and then as well with my sanding block just to make it nice and smooth. If you have a miter saw, go ahead and use that. I just thought I'd show you. These boards are very, very good for crafting, and using this technique makes it very easy. I'm going to drill a few holes just to kind of add. There was 1 already on each board. We're just going to add 3 more because we do need them to be able to attach the fences to it. So I'm going to add holes, and then we are going to just slightly sand them just to remove any excess board or splinters that it may have. Dust it really well, and then we're going to give it a couple of coats of Waverly chalk paint in the white. I'm going to do the front and the back because you are going to be seeing both sides. Now that they are dry, it is time to put everything together. We're going to use some zip ties from Dollar Tree as well. And I think you know where we're going with this, right? We're just going to attach them, creating a box. This is going to be a decorative box. It could also be used as a lantern, as a basket that you can put florals in. And I'm going to show you how I styled this one. But first, we are going to attach them again with the zip ties, making sure that the little prickly part ends towards the inside of the box and not the outside. And we're going to add one board at a time, and then we're going to add the other one on the other side once that one is attached. All right, Dollar Tree carries these wall decals, which I love to use for crafting. I had this one left over. It has some peonies. Love the color, and I love that they are just peel and stick. How easy is that? I'm going to add 2 of them on each side. They're going to overlap the edge, but we're going to remove that using my blade knife. I just thought it needed a little bit of a, I don't know, color. Now, if you're going to put flowers in the box, you don't need to do this. You can leave it as is. You can use maybe a stencil, maybe paint it a different color, whatever you want. But for me, I'm going to use it as a kind of like a decorative candle holder. You're going to see. And I just wanted to add a little bit of pop of color on the sides. Flip it over. Again, remove the excess. Now, I am going to touch up the paint just on the edges because I realized it was kind of not painted. So once it was done, look how pretty. These are some faux candles that I get on Amazon, and I added some faux boxwood. But love the way this turned out. Let me know what you think of this one. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we are going to take another set of the fence, and we are going to cut off the stake and cut off 2 of the panels. Again, I am using my wire cutter as well as my blade knife to smooth it out. And again, be very careful and slice it going outwards. These 11 by 14 canvases are flat. They're from Dollar Tree, and I love the size of them. I'm going to use one of them, remove everything from it. I'm not even going to paint it, but you can if you want. I'm going to hot glue the fence towards the bottom. It really matches the size almost perfectly. And I'm just going to add hot glue and just set it right there. Oh boy, did it stick really good. I'm going to reinforce it just a little bit on the top, and then we're going to start adding some florals. I want this to look like a garden picture, but I don't want to see all the stems. So I'm just going to remove the actual flowers and all the leaves, and we're just going to start hot gluing them on the top of the fences. This is just going to make it look like a nice garden without seeing all the stems on the bottom. All right, this is looking so beautiful. And remember, you can use any color combination you want. Here's that little bee we removed earlier. We're just going to hot glue her right there. How stinking cute. I love the way this one turned out. The colors are so subtle, but yet very summery. I would love to know what you think of this one. Let me know down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, I gotta tell you, I think this one's my favorite. We're gonna use the scrap pieces that we had left over from all the other projects. I always kept them because I just felt like they had such a beautiful design. So I'm just gonna start removing excess fence here and there with my wire cutter, and I'm just gonna remove 4 of these center pieces. And I'm just going to keep trimming until all 4 of them are almost exact in size. Of course, don't look for perfection, but just look as close as possible to each size. And then, of course, you can use your blade knife, whatever you want. Once I had the 4 pieces nicely cut, we are going to join 2 of them using hot glue, and we're just going to join them just like this. And we're going to do the same thing to the other set. We're creating a nice wall decor with a beautiful design. I can't wait to show you. All right, we're going to crisscross it just like a cross. We're going to add hot glue as needed, just a little bit here and there, reinforcing it. But we're also going to use zip ties because I just love those zip ties. It really makes them hold and make them very sturdy. I'm going to add 2 of them, but you can add as many as you want. It is a light piece, so 2 of them was perfect for me. I'm going to add half of this foam ball from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to hot glue it right there. Then I'm going to poke a couple of holes. Just be careful. Don't poke your hand, of course. And then we're going to thread a zip tie right through that, and we're just going to tie it in the back. This is just, again, make it very secure. Once it was attached, I'm going to add some reindeer moss around the foam. This is just what I had on hand, but if you don't have moss, you can just use ribbon as well. I'm going to hot glue it again just to cover the white foam, just in case you'll be able to see through the sides. Once the sides were completely covered, then it's time to add some faux boxwood. These are just some pieces that I had. I get these on Amazon, but you can use whatever greenery or florals you want from Dollar Tree. I'm going to do the same thing all around. I'm going to add 2 in between each of the fence sections. And then we're going to add a bright color flower right smack down in the center. This is a potted one that you can find at Dollar Tree. We're going to remove the pot, and we're also going to remove that thick stem. Take the leaves, and I'm just going to add them right there behind the flower. Just stick them right there. Then with my hot glue gun, I'm going to poke a hole in the center of the foam, add glue, and then add the flower. You can fluff and arrange as needed. And I just felt like it needed a couple more leaves. So I'm going to take these bright green leaves. I'm going to poke a hole on each side. And I'm just going to add a little glue, and we're just going to add it. This is going to be on the opposite side as the leaves from the flower. This just added fullness, a pop of color. And I honestly think that it brought everything together. Oh my word. You know what I love most? I love the simplicity, the colors. Love this one. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. We're going to start with one of these. These are the ones that have the handles. We're going to remove the cardboard from it. And then we're just going to separate just a little bit that middle portion. And then that black plastic part comes off easily. We're going to spray it in this beautiful mauve color. And we're just going to take it outside, spray it. One pretty heavy coat. It dried really quick because it's outside. But of course, if you're going to do it inside, just have maybe a window cracked open, wear some masks, whatever you need to do. Once dry, we're going to take one of these foam cylinders from Dollar Tree, and we're just going to cut off a little piece from it. We're going to poke a couple of holes on the top portion of the shield. This is so that we can use zip ties to attach a little piece of foam board right there. We're going to also add a little bit of hot glue just for extra security. We're going to cut off the excess zip ties, and then we're going to start adding some florals. We're going to keep it nice and simple, but I do want to add a contrast color. This bundle of faux flowers is from Walmart, and they have great selection. I'm going to cut off a couple of pieces here just to add greenery to the sides, add a little bit of hot glue, and stick them right onto the foam. Right in the center, we're going to add a beautiful blue flower from the same pick, and I kept the leaves that came with it. And then we're just going to add a couple little loose leaves to the top just to cover that foam nicely. This is going to be an earring holder. Of course, you can do whatever else you want with it. I just thought having an earring holder this cute, this chic is so adorable. You can use this as a gift or just for your home decor. Let me know what you think of this one. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to take another one of those shields with the handle, remove the cardboard, and remove the plastic little part right there. We're going to do something similar, but we're going to paint this one white. Again, we're going to take it outside, and we're just going to do the round portion of it. We did one pretty heavy coat until it was fully covered, and then we're going to leave it outside until it dries. Now, this was still kind of early, but once the sun started coming out, I slid them right onto the sunshine. It dries even faster. All right, we're going to take a piece of cardboard. We're just going to cover it about 2/3 of the shield, leaving a little bit on towards the left side. And we're going to spray it in this beautiful teal blue spray by Rust-Oleum. And again, leaving it outside until it's nicely dry. This is what it's looking like. How adorable. You can do whatever color combination you want. We're going to take this reusable stencil from Essential Stencil. We're just going to place it right there on towards the bottom portion of the white part. And we're going to use Waverly chalk pen and the ink. This is just a really black one. And my favorite stenciling brush, which I do have in my Amazon store. If you want to check them out, they come in different sizes. They are by far my favorite stenciling brushes. And I'm going to leave it here in real time so you can see it doesn't take long at all. I'm going to do the round and around motion. This is really going to help it have no bleed through. And it's almost like a dry brush technique. Look how adorable it looks. But I forgot to remove it or add something underneath it. So no worries. I always keep disinfecting wipes right next to my craft station, and it wiped really, really well. All right, so now we are going to add more foam to this one because we do want to add some florals. I think it really just calls for it, but you can also add ribbon and whatever you want. Poking another 2 holes right there on the top, and we're going to add hot glue. We're going to place the foam and then zip tie it nicely tight. Again, I want to add some florals that are really contrasting but complements the color design really nicely. These pink flowers from Dollar Tree are gorgeous. I'm going to add a couple to the top right there. You're going to add as many as little as you want. Of course, I left the little leaves right with them to add that pop of green. And then I'll add some of these little greenery picks left over from another projects. And we're just going to add a couple to each side, making sure they kind of drape in that circular shape of the shield. And then we're going to add one more right there on the blue. We're just going to add a little bit of hot glue. We don't need to add the foam down here. And I'm going to add one more leafy part right there to the back to cover it up. And that way it's going to look nice and pretty. I'm going to add a couple of those leafy greens to the top again to cover up the foam. But look how gorgeous this looks. You can make this for fall, spring, summer, Christmas, any season, any holiday. Love the way this one turned out, but let me know what you think of this one. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to use one of the shields that have the knob instead of the handle. I love these one as well. The difference is this one will have a hole right in the center once we remove that. So this is why the one with the shield looks nicer if you're going to just keep the whole shield nicely and full. But this one, we're going to remove it. So we're just going to just start poking it, pushing through, and it does remove. But let me tell you, I poked myself several times. You're going to see me here going like, ouch, ouch. Finally, I gave in and I went and grabbed my work gloves because it was just not pulling off. So using protective gloves really helps. So please do that and be very careful. I'm going to hammer down just some areas that actually lifted up as I was pulling the screen from it. All right, so this is another pick from Walmart. Gorgeous color, gorgeous design. I'm just going to cut off a few. We're going to create a little swag. So we're going to place the florals, ones going up, others going downwards, and then we're going to leave the nice bright coral color ones for a little bit later. We're going to join everything in the center with some jute string, and then we're going to make a very simple knot, and we're going to attach it to the right side of the ring. But you can add it anywhere you want. The left, the top, the bottom. You can use it wherever. I will attach it with a little bit more of jute string, and then we're just going to secure it in place with a little bit of hot glue. Now we are going to attach the floral right there to the jute string. It really attaches well because the hot glue adheres to that jute string really, really good. You can add whatever else you want. I like simplicity, so we're just going to keep it as is. You can also add ribbon to be able to hang it, but because it is a ring, it does stick really nicely, and I just love the way this one turned out. I just love the color, the simplicity. How gorgeous is this? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Little home sign I got several months ago and I never knew what to do with it, and now I have the perfect idea. We're going to remove the letters. Now we're going to do it very carefully. These are made out of paper, and so I don't want to ruin them. I'm going to use my heating tool, which I do have in my Amazon store if you want to check it out. It is linked in the description box. I'm going to go slow and steady and trying not to rip them, which I was successful. Yay! All right, so after it was removed, I'm going to sand down the surface. This is just going to remove any glue left over as well as roughen up the surface for some vinyl. I am going to wipe it really well and then use this beautiful hunter green vinyl. I had this one several months, and I'm just going to cut off a piece to be able to cover the entire surface. Instead of painting it, sometimes I like using vinyl. It's quicker, easier, and the colors are beautiful. I'm just going to start on one end and slowly move towards the other side, removing any bubbles as needed. Of course, this is simply inspiration for you. You can do whatever you want with your boards. You can do it seasonally. You can do it in farmhouse style, holiday style, whatever you want. I'm going to use my electric sander to remove the excess vinyl from the edges. It's going to remove the vinyl as well as distress it a little bit, and it creates that white border that I think it's gorgeous. All right, I'm going to use my sanding block just to smooth it out just a little bit more. And then, of course, we want to dust it really well. I'm going to paint the letters white because, of course, the green will just blend too much with the vinyl. I'm going to do 3 coats, but of course, you can do any color you want. I'm going to take nautical rope and I'm just going to cut a piece and add it with hot glue to the back. Just loop it. This is where we can hang the board from. I'm also going to use masking tape to hold it in place as well as avoid any fraying on me. I'm going to use some faux knots. I love using this technique. It just adds a lot of texture and it's just an easy way to create what will look like it's hanging from knots, but really it's just some faux knots. I'm just going to create a knot and then I'm going to cut off the excess from the top and the bottom and hot glue it one underneath each rope. This is the garden stake we are using. I love this one. It has such a 3D feel to it and it even has little tiny marbles. Love it. I cut off the stake portion and now we're going to put everything together. I'm going to start attaching each letter one by one with hot glue and then we're going to attach the garden stake as the letter O. The key with these is that if you want to hot glue them, it doesn't work as well because they are metal. But I am going to use some flexible wire. So I'm just going to dry fit the butterfly where I want it, mark where I can drill a couple of holes, use my drill to drill them, and then we're going to use flexible wire, thread it through, and then twist it in the back. Then we're going to cover up all those twisties with some masking tape to make sure it's not going to prick anybody or scratch any surface. We're going to flip it over and then we're going to add that final H right on top of the butterfly. Now you can add whatever you want on this. You can add greenery, florals. I decided to keep it on the simple side. Love the way this one turned out. These colors are fantastic. Let me know what you think of this one. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we are going to start with this scrap piece of wood. This is a 1x4 that I used in a previous project, and this is a leftover piece from another project. I'm going to sand down the edges and dust it really well. This garden stake is gorgeous. Now, it does have a patriotic theme to it, but of course, you can use the inspiration and create your own design. I'm going to remove the stake by simply twisting it back and forth and pulling it out, and then I'm going to dry fit it on the board, mark where I need to drill holes, and again, use my drill to drill them. I'm going to place the truck right where I want it, and I'm just going to thread some flexible wire right through the holes, and then again, twist it in the back and add masking tape to protect the surfaces. Once this is attached, I'm going to drill several holes right on top of the board. Now this is going to be where the truck bed is, and we're going to add some greenery, but it's so much easier to attach when you have holes to place in them. I'm going to add some of these greenery pieces that I had left over from other projects. I'm just going to add a dab of glue and add one in each. Now I did add several extra holes here and there as needed just to make it fuller. I'm also going to add several greenery picks going towards the bottom, almost like it's hanging over the wooden rail on the truck bed. I love the way this is turning out. All right, this little star ornament had left over from another project. They came 2 in a pack, and I'm just going to hot glue it right there in front of the truck and then just kind of tilt the little bead garland towards the right side. Look how cute this is. I love the simplicity. I love the festive feel it has, and those greeneries on top of there, love it. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we are going to start with this stitching kit that you can find at Dollar Tree Plus. I love these. However, I'm not going to use the stitching portion, at least not now. I am going to keep it, but let me show you what it comes with. Isn't that cool? All right, so we're going to use the hoop here, and we are going to just make a little wreath form with it. I'm going to take some foam from Dollar Tree, just cut off a piece. This little foam knife you can find at Dollar Tree as well. I'm going to hot glue it as well as zip tie it to the left side of the ring. Now, this one has more of a beachy kind of theme to it, but again, use it as inspiration and you can make any style and design you want. This seahorse garden stake is gorgeous. I'm going to bend and clip off the stake portion and then hot glue it right on top of the foam and use one more zip tie to secure it in place. Now you're going to see it here, but we're going to cover it up in just a little bit. These little pigs have a very coastal nautical theme to it. I'm going to take one apart and just kind of place them from the bottom and the top, adding hot glue as needed. I'm also going to add some more greenery faux boxwood just to fill it in and add a pop of green color to it. I'm going to take burlap ribbon. I'm going to make a very simple bow. I'm just going to loop it like an awareness ribbon. I'm going to scrunch it in the middle, tie it with jute string, and then we are going to hot glue and tie it around the waist of the seahorse just to cover up that zip tie. I'm going to flip it to the back, tie it in a simple knot, and then I am going to dovetail cut the legs. That way it's just going to be short and not overtake the wreath. Now we're going to add this tiny little starfish right in the center of the bow just to add a pop of color, and I'm also going to add more ribbon to the top, and this is how we are going to hang this piece. Although you don't need it, you can always just hang it from the loop. Love, love, love the way this turned out. Oh my gosh, it is so cute. The simplicity, the colors. Love this one. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, I'm going to take this canvas style. It is a flat style and large. I'm going to remove, of course, the plastic from it. And I'm not even going to paint it, although you can, depending on the design you're looking for. I'm going to add nautical rope to the back. Again, we're just going to loop it, hot glue it, and masking tape it. That way it's not going to fray and not go anywhere. And then we're going to flip it over and we are going to start adding the garden stakes. Now this one has a patriotic, again, style to it, but you can use it as inspiration and do it in any way you want. I'm going to dry fit the pieces, just kind of looking to see how I want to place them. And once I know where I want them, I'm going to mark at the bottom of each stake to know exactly where I want to cut. I'm going to use my wire cutters. I'm simply just going to kind of dent it and then just snap them. Very easy. All right, I'm going to dry fit them once again, crisscross them in, and then marking where I want to drill those holes to attach them. I'm going to mark in several places, at the bottom of each star, and then in the center where they all meet. This is going to make sure they're not going to be bouncing around or falling off. Once I have it marked, I'm just going to start drilling, and then we are going to attach one star at a time using the flexible wire once again, threading it through each little hole, and then we are going to make sure that everything is taped in the back so it's not going to prick anybody or scratch any surfaces. How fun is this craft? And it's such an easy one. We're going to take this leftover ribbon, one from fall, one from Valentine's Day, but hey, they work. I want to stack them together and I'm going to make another simple bow, loop it like an awareness ribbon, scrunch it in the middle with some white jute string, and then we are going to make a couple additional holes right where all these stars meet, and then we are going to thread the string through it and tie it in the back. What an easy, adorable, festive craft you can do during the holiday season, or you can do any style, anything you want. Just use it as inspiration. Let me know down in the comments. I'm going to start with this one right here. And of course, we got to remove the sticker, which comes off pretty easily. And we're going to use this foam knife. You can find these at Dollar Tree, but you can also use a serrated knife, which works really well. And I did use it several times in this video. All right, so we're going to cut probably about 2/3 of it off because we're going to use just about 1/3 of it for this project. Now we're going to take this piece of scrap wood. This is a 2x8, I believe. It was just leftover. It was in our garage. I'm just going to sand it down just smooth and then wipe it really well. And then I'm just going to paint it. I'm going to paint it white, but of course you can choose any color you want. I'm going to give it one pretty heavy coat, and then we're just going to set it to the side under a fan so it dries really quick. Now I am going to trim off just a little bit of the bottom because I want that to be nice and flat and even, and you'll know why here in just a minute. So I'm just going to trim off maybe about a 1/2 inch. And then we are going to make sure that we are flattening out the bottom as well. So I'm just going to set it and then we'll just cut off a little slice from the bottom, and this will make it stand just like that. So easy. All right, so these tapered candles are battery operated. You can get these at Dollar Tree, and they require 2 AAA batteries. We're just going to place them inside. I like to test them before I place them on my craft because that way I know for sure they work. And they do. They flicker and they look so pretty. All right, so now we're going to take the bottom portion of the candle and we're just going to make a dent so I know exactly how big of an opening I need to do. I'm going to use a combination of my serrated knife very carefully, as well as a small little screwdriver just to make a small little opening. I don't need the whole thing to be able to fit in, just about maybe 1/3 or a 1/2. Once I know it fits, I'm just going to add hot glue and then place it right there and hold it as straight as possible. And I did the same thing on the other side. To make sure that it's going to be nice and sturdy, I did add a strip of hot glue around the edge where the piece actually meets the foam, and this really made it nice and secure. All right, so now we're going to cut off some drop cloth. We're going to tear it apart because it creates a nice frayed look. And I'm just going to use a small piece and I'm going to cut it into strips because it makes it go a long ways. All right, so once I have them cut, we're just going to wrap the foam with it. I'm going to start with a little hot glue, wrapping it around, making sure that I'm covering as much green as possible and doing from one end to the other. All right, so we're just about done wrapping this up. And then we're going to put some of these felt little pads. You can get these at Dollar Tree. I'm going to put 4, 1 in each corner at the bottom of the base. That way it's going to not scratch any surfaces. And then we're going to hot glue the piece right on top. And that flat portion is going to help stay it nice and steady. I'm going to remove the little hooks from this home wooden sign. It has a very nautical, almost beachy look. We're just going to hot glue it right there in the front. And then in between, we're just going to add some faux boxwood. But you can add any florals you want. You can even make this fall themed, summer themed, Christmas themed, whatever you want. So I'm just going to add a few little picks here and there. And once attached, we're just going to add those tapered candles. And how cute are these? Now, if you want to turn them off, all you have to do is unscrew them just a little bit and they turn off. So easy, so inexpensive, and what a beautiful centerpiece you can display in your home. Let me know what you think of this one. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we are going to take the other piece, the leftover one. We're going to flatten out those edges as well. We are going to use several colors of these burlap ribbons that I have left over from other projects, as well as my finger protectors because we're going to use that all hot glue. And if you use burlap style ribbon, you know it seeps through, so make sure you use a protector. We're going to start with these natural tone one right there on the first edge. We're going to wrap it around until it wraps twice, securing with hot glue. And then we're going to move on to the next color. And again, we're going to wrap it around and it's going to overlap just a little bit over the other ribbon. And we're going to do that all the way to the other side, making sure we keep the same pattern of color all the way to the other side. So we're just about done wrapping this up, and we're going to take one of these foam cylinders that you can get at Dollar Tree. They come 2 in a pack. We're going to take one and split it in half. Then we're going to take these dusting mops that you can find in the cleaning aisle at Dollar Tree. We're going to remove the cardboard and just cut it in half. Then we're going to wrap these pieces with it. We're just going to add hot glue to the top first. Make sure that's attached. And then we're going to add hot glue to the edges, wrapping it around. I'm going to do the same thing on the other one. And then we're going to cut off any excess mop that's going to be on the bottom because we want it to be nice and flat so it can stand or sit on a table. Now we're going to take a skewer stick and we're going to cut 2 pieces. They're about maybe 4 inches long, but of course you can trim them if you need to. We're going to poke a hole with a screwdriver, add a little bit of glue, and place one of the sticks right in the center of that one piece and do the same thing on the other side. We're going to attach the rainbow onto these, and it's going to look like little clouds. How adorable. Recently, I did a larger one using pool noodles, and I thought it'd be such a great idea to make a smaller one that you can use on a tabletop. All right, so I poke a couple of holes, one on each side of the bottom of the rainbow, and then we're going to add hot glue and then slide it right in. This is not going anywhere, of course, unless you pull it, but who would want to do that? So we're just going to do the same thing on the other side and make sure they're both facing the same direction and nice and steady. How cute! You can leave it like this, of course you can, but I'm going to add some greenery. This is just some eucalyptus, some faux eucalyptus, and we're just going to add a few little bundles on each side just to add texture, color, just fun. But how cute is this? It's one of my favorites from today. Such an easy project. What do you think of this one? Let me know down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we are going to take another one of those foam rings as well as another one of the foam cylinders. We're going to remove the sticker, of course, and then we're going to cut off a little piece from the bottom and kind of curve it just a little bit because I want it to fit flush on top of the ring, just like that. Now we're going to take this yellow fabric. This has more of a like honeycomb bee theme. You're not going to see that too much. This is just what I had on hand. I wanted something to have a more like golden tone, but of course use whatever you have on hand. If you have golden ribbon, that would work even better. So I cut the fabric in about 2-inch strips and we're just going to wrap it around the entire ring, securing it with hot glue as needed. Dollar Tree has these towels in the automotive aisle, and I use these all the time for my crafting. And we're going to take one of them, and this is what we're going to use to wrap the foam cylinder. Again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut it off into strips, and then we're going to hot glue it around the cylinder, just making sure that everything is nice and snug. So you may have to like pull and like kind of hot glue as needed so it's as round as possible. Now, if it's not very round, that's okay. Don't worry about it because we're going to cover it up anyways. To attach both pieces, we're going to use some skewer sticks again. We're going to poke holes with a small screwdriver. We're going to add a little bit of hot glue, and then we're going to attach both pieces. How adorable is this looking? So if you haven't noticed, we're creating a diamond ring. This would be a great craft to do for either a wedding shower or an engagement party. All right, so we're going to take these faux diamonds from Dollar Tree and we're just going to hot glue them to the top portion, row by row, one by one. We're going to do the front, the sides, and the top, but we're not going to do the back. Of course, you can leave this as is, but I like adding greenery just to add a little bit of touch of character and texture, but you don't have to do this. You can skip it. I'm just going to add a couple of these little faux boxwood picks right there to the left side, and I love the way this turned out. So chic, so cute. How fun is this craft? Love, love, love this one, but let me know what you think down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to take another one of those foam rings, of course. We're going to remove the sticker and we're going to use these cardboard stick. This is just one of those things that are left over from like, I don't know, maybe it was a wrapping paper. I'm not sure where it came from. I cut off a piece just to fit the size that I was looking for. And then I'm just going to literally push it and stick it right through one of the sides of the ring just to make a dent. And then I'm going to add hot glue and then place it right inside again, holding it in place nice and straight until it hardens. Of course, you don't want to poke it all the way through. I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue on the edge just to make sure it's nice and secure. We're going to take this beautiful floral fabric that I already had on hand. I don't remember. I think it was Hobby Lobby that I got this fabric from. I'm just going to cut off a piece that I need, but of course you can use any fabric you want. We're going to take the ring and we're just going to place it inside and we're just going to wrap it around into looking like a candy pop. How adorable is this? You can make different colors with different fabrics, different textures, maybe even add some plastic covering, clear covering over it. The possibilities are endless. So I'm just going to wrap it around, taking my time, scrunching it at the base, making sure that it's nice and straight. And then we're going to take some white jute string, wrap it around twice, and tighten it in the back in a simple knot, but very tightly. And then, of course, we want to cut off any excess fabric from the bottom. Now, this one you can leave as long or as short as you want. I'm just going to cut it off and then just keep trimming until it looks nice and even and straight from the sides, the front, and the back. But again, you use whatever you want to use. You cut as much as you want. The decision is yours. I'm going to take these ribbon from Hobby Lobby, and we're just going to take a few colors that complement the design very nicely. We're going to make sure that they're nice and even, wrap it around that center portion, and we're just going to make a very simple bow. Of course, you can add whatever else you want to this. If you're making this for fall, you can use fall colors. If you're making it for Christmas, you can make it Christmassy, whatever you want. I love the way this one turned out. The simplicity is amazing. It's so fun, so easy. But of course, as always, I would love to know what you think of this one. Let me know down in the comments. This cutting board I found recently at the thrift store, and I love that it is solid wood and that the words are not engraved but actually just painted on. So I'm just going to sand it down just a little bit to smooth it out and remove any grime, wipe it well, and then I'm just going to paint it a pretty heavy, kind of like dry brush technique. I want the edges to still show that nice wooden tone. I'm not going to paint the sides nor the back. While that dries, I'm going to take this beautiful wreath from Target Dollar Spot. They're $3 each, as well as this decorative starfish that I found in a bundle, and it came 3 in a pack. I am also going to be hot gluing it right onto the wreath form. Now, this is key because the wreath form is so thin. You just want to apply glue right where that starfish is going to touch, and then just hold it for a few seconds until it hardens. Just takes a few seconds, but it will work, I promise. Then I'm just going to add some seashells here and there, doing the same thing, just placing it where I want, kind of looking to see where it touches the wreath, adding hot glue, and then holding it for a few seconds. I decided to add some of these smaller ones just to fill in some of the gaps and just add more character. We're going to put everything together now. This is the cutting board. It is nice and painted. I'm going to smooth it out just a little bit with my 120 grit sandpaper. And then with a rougher one, I'm just going to clean up those edges. Then let's place the wreath. We're just going to place it right around the neck of the cutting board. I am going to manipulate it just a little bit to make sure that it's hanging in place exactly where I want it to be. I don't want to make it narrow or anything. I just want to make sure it hangs nicely. And I'm just going to then place the branches where I want them. This is my favorite from today. I love the way it turned out. So beachy, almost like a relaxed look. I'm going to head to my garage and find a piece of scrap 2x4. I found this one actually right away. I grabbed it. I wish it was a little longer, but it's going to work. I took it inside. I'm just going to sand it down just a bit. It was grimy and it was splintery. So I removed all of that and wiped it down. I'm going to give it a rough one coat of Waverly chalk paint in the white. This is just going to brighten it up, and I will distress it here in a bit. Now I'm going to take some drop cloth. Drop cloth you can find at the hardware store or other places, even online. And I love working with drop cloth. It's very inexpensive. So I'm going to take a dowel and I'm going to start marking where I want to cut because I want to make a sailboat. Now drop cloth, if you rip it, it gives you that nice like flared look or a frayed look, and I love it. So I want to make sure that both of my sails have the frayed style on the ends. So I'm just cutting as needed, making sure that I am placing the dowel where I want it, measuring and cutting to make sure that the sails are the size that I need and that the frays are facing outward. So here I'm just finalizing some cuts. Now on one of the sails, I do want to paint some stripes. So I'm just going to tape it here, and then I'm just going to use this paint that was left over from another project my daughter was working with. So I'm just going to use it. It's a beautiful green tone that we mixed together. So I'm just going to paint those stripes and then remove the tape. I'm going to give that a little bit to dry. Now I'm just going to just stress pretty heavily the piece of board. Now you don't have to do this. This is completely optional. I'm just going to distress it and wipe it. And then I'm going to take my drill and I'm going to switch out the drill bit to a size that fits the dowel. I'm going to make a hole right in the center on top. And then it's time to assemble these sails. So I'm just going to hot glue the drop cloth to the dowel. And then I'm just going to hot glue the other one right next to it. Now the dowel is just a little bit too long, so I'm just going to cut off whatever I need, add some glue, and then place it right in there. It's not going to go anywhere. Then I'm just going to add one of these designs that you can find at Dollar Tree. There's one with a seashell design, which is appropriate for today's video. And I'm just going to cut off all the details that it has, but I'm not going to take them anywhere because I'm going to reuse them. I'm going to hot glue this one right on the left side of the board. And it looks so pretty. All right, so I'm going to take the tassel that came with the seashell and I'm just going to add it to the top. What a great way to reuse it, and it just looks so pretty hanging there. Love the way this turned out. It has such neutral colors. Well, let me know what you think down in the comments. For the next Dollar Tree DIY craft, I'm going to take the 2023 calendar. This is their summer beachy theme one. Look at these beautiful designs. You can use these in multiple DIYs. Oh, I love using them. All right, so we're going to take this one. It has that seashell kind of look to it. And I'm just going to use one of these boards, which I recently used for a different DIY craft. But today we're going to do something different. So I'm going to remove the little hooks from it. I'm going to remove the center portion by just pressing outwards very carefully. I'm going to paint the frame white. You don't have to paint it. The beautiful wood tone is fine. It's just what I would prefer. So I just did it white, let that dry. Then I'm going to take the middle portion. I'm just going to sand down those edges. It does keep a little bit of roughness, so smoothing it out works. I'm going to spray adhesive the top and then place the calendar page right on top. I'm going to smooth it out as much as possible, as well as with a towel. It just removes any bubbles that you may see. To remove the edges, instead of cutting, I love to sand it down, so I'm going to use my electric sander. It just goes so much quicker, and those edges turn out so smooth. Remove the excess paper, and then we're just going to hot glue it right back onto the center of the frame. Add a little bit of hot glue, place it, press it, and then I'm going to place some seashells. So this is a starfish from Dollar Tree as well. I'm just going to hot glue it right there in the center. And then I'm going to hot glue some seashells going upwards and on the bottom of the frame. So I'm almost done with the seashells, and I just felt like something was missing. So recently I did another beach theme decor, and I added nautical rope like I'm doing here in this wavy style. And I thought I can do it also to this one, and I think it was the perfect addition. It just makes it look grander and just gives it that much more texture. So I'm just going to hot glue it to the frame in a wiggly kind of wavy look, cut off the excess, and that's it. This one is actually a surprising favorite of mine. Let me know what you think. Such a smart way to use these calendars. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we are going to take some shower rings. We are going to start stacking them in sets of 2, and we're going to create a set of 4. We're going to make sure that we attach them with the opening clips facing each other, and we're just going to add a little bit of hot glue on one of the rings and then attach this second one. A little bit goes a long way, but if it's oozing out, that's okay because we're going to cover that up. And then, of course, I did the same thing on the other 3 sets. I'm going to take some of the white nautical rope from Dollar Tree, and I am going to separate the strands. I just need one of the strands. Each rope is a little too thick to go around the ring, so if you separate one strand, it's going to be thick enough to be able to wrap around on the ring and not be too thick. So once I have it separated, we're just going to start attaching it with a little bit of hot glue, starting on the inside and then wrapping it all the way around. If you need to wrap it twice to cover up some of the empty spaces, go ahead and do that. It's fine. To add a little bit of embellishments, I'm going to take this greenery pick from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to tear apart 4 little pieces and hot glue them to the front of each napkin ring. This is going to mimic what will look like seaweed. And then we're going to take some seashells and we're going to hot glue it to the top of each. These napkins I got on Amazon, and I love they have that linen feel, and I really like that they're white because I can use them with any napkin ring that I create, and I love creating napkin rings. So we're just going to place one on each ring. Now, if you have a larger family, of course, you can make more rings. I have a family of 4, so 4 rings is perfect for our family, and then you can place set them in whatever display you want, and I love the simplicity, the beauty of this. Let me know what you think of this one. Start with this tray. It's like a little serving plate. I'm going to take it outside and spray it a few times with this Rust-Oleum white spray paint. Now, I'm not worried about doing the way bottom because we're going to cover that up, but we are going to let that dry, and we're going to start with this beautiful bike themed fabric. The colors are stunning. When the plate was dry, we're just going to place it on top, and I needed to find something that I can use to give it the curve look. So I'm going to use this microwave plate cover because it's really close in size. I'm going to use my rotary cutter to cut off a piece of fabric large enough to cover the area, and then we are going to use that circular object, and we're just going to cut it very carefully around, again, to give it that nice round shape. If you can freehand it, go ahead, but I'm glad I found this because it really guided me. All right, so then we are going to just place that on top of the plate, and we're just going to hot glue it. Very simple, very easy, and it sticks really good. I did have to cut off a little bit from the top, so just do and cut as you need. These have wood beads I get on Amazon, and I do have them in my Amazon store if you want to check them out. They are linked in the description box. I'm going to place one in the center bottom, then one in each corner, and then we're just going to start adding one like halfway, you know what I mean, like in the middle of each bead, and that way they're going to be as evenly separated as possible. A little bit of hot glue goes a long way because it does stick to the fabric really good. Now we're just going to add some florals on the inside. Now this is where you can just do whatever you want. You can use this as a note holder. You can place whatever you want. I'm going to add florals because I just thought it would just look so nice with the design. And I'm going to stick it right inside and just keep it in the neutral colors because I want the fabric to be the star of the design. I'm going to keep adding. These are all from Dollar Tree, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. You can hang this, you can place them on a plate holder, whatever you want. What do you think of this one? Let me know. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we are going to take these red, white, and blue fabrics, and we're just going to open them up. Now, I ended up not needing 2 of the red ones. 1 was sufficient. I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm going to start cutting the fabric in strips. For the first one, I'm just going to fold it in like a third and then just cut them open and then cut them in strips. I did realize that they were a little too short, so I ended up then folding it instead of in 3s, folding it in half and making the strips. So I'm just going to have some strips that are a little shorter than others, but it worked out in the end. I'm going to do the same thing to the blue fabric, and we're just going to cut them again a little longer. When it's all said and done, you should have a ton of strips just like this. Now, depending on how big your wreath form is, you're going to need more or less. This wreath form I got at the Target dollar spot years ago. I still have it home, and I'm just going to cover half of it, or actually more than half, in the red, and then the smaller upper left-hand corner side in the blue. We're going to create a patriotic wreath form. Now, you can use whatever flag colors you want, and you have. I think it'd be gorgeous in any colors. This is just to give you inspiration. You can also do it Christmassy themed or summer themed, whatever you want. So I'm just going to start tying all of the strips in between the boxwood. So not over the boxwood. We don't want to tie those. We're just going to separate and open the greenery picks and then add them to the actual stem. And then we're going to fix everything. So it's going to look messy, but I promise you it's going to work out. Once I have them all attached, I'm just going to start kind of like you see here, straightening it out and fanning out all those strips of fabric, making sure they're facing the right way. And it does take a little bit of time, but it's very, very enjoyable. I'm going to do the same thing on the red fabric, and then I'm going to take the boxwood greenery and I'm going to make sure they're facing the right way, that they're on top of the fabric and everything's looking nice and neat. Once you have everything where you want it, I'm going to trim it. You don't have to, but because some of them were a little longer than others, I just want to make sure everything's as close as possible, but I'm not looking for them to be exactly the same size. So I'm just going to keep trimming them until I like what I see. Now, to hang it, you can leave it just as is without adding anything, or you can add a ribbon like I'm doing here. Just make a knot and then slide the knot towards the inside. But I think this wreath is absolutely stunning. Oh my word. I love the combination of greenery and fabric, but what do you think? Let me know down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we are making a functional craft using poster board. This is just pieces that I had left over, and I'm going to cut a piece that are 3 inches wide by about 4 inches or 4.5 inches long. I'm going to then mark about 4 inches from the long side and make a line on both sides. Then I'm going to mark about 1/2 inch on the other side. We're going to make a smaller rectangle inside the rectangle. Then we're going to take my X-Acto knife and we're going to open it up. We're creating a little window. So this is going to be a luggage tag. I have never made a luggage tag, but I am hooked. I think this will make such a cute gift for someone who loves to travel. So cute. All right, so here we are. Now we have the front part of the tag, and this is the fabric that we're going to use. Isn't it beautiful? Oh my. All right, so we're going to add 1 layer of Mod Podge on one side of the front tag and then as well as the back tag. Now, if you've seen me for a while or you've seen recent videos, I just learned this technique with Mod Podge. You just want to apply a medium to thin layer of Mod Podge, let it dry. All right, so this is the fabric. We're going to cut a little bit of it, ironed it, and then we're just going to place it on the dry Mod Podge with a little bit of parchment paper on top, and then you just want to iron it on. It does not take long. Remove everything, and it's nicely stuck. We're going to cut off the excess from the edges, but we're going to leave one of the ends with the fabric, okay? Because then we are going to add a little hot glue and we're going to create a little seam. Now, looking back, I could have just seamed everything and it would have looked a little cleaner. So whenever I do this again, I'm just going to do the seam on all the edges. So using my X-Acto knife, I'm going to cut off the middle portion. And then we're going to do the same thing with the back of the tag. Place the parchment paper on top of the fabric, iron it, and then I'm going to cut off the edges and leave one side with the fabric so that we can create a seam. Unless you want to do seam all over, then just cut off enough to where you have a small little seam. This is a plastic baggie that I had left over from another project. I'm just going to cut off a piece that's going to fit inside, and we're going to hot glue it. Now be careful because it kind of gets soft and hot, so just be very careful. Hot glued it in place, and now we're going to place the top tag on top of the back portion, just like that. And then, of course, don't hot glue that end with the seam because that's where we're going to insert the little card. So we're creating a little tag card, a little smaller than the size of the tag, and then we are going to just write name, address, phone, and then make lines. And this is what we're going to insert inside the luggage tag. How adorable. Now, of course, we want to have something to hang it from. So we're going to poke a hole. You see my crocodile. I'm going to thread some blue ribbon and I'm just going to knot it. And this is what you can use to tie around your luggage. How fun is this? It's such a great gift idea. Oh, you can make these for Christmas and use them as the gift tags, which can also then be luggage tags. How fun! Let me know what you think of this one. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to take the leftover fabric and we're going to cut strips. Now, these strips are going to be tiny. Now, I'm also going to add some other fabrics that I had left over from other seasons, and we're just going to make a fun pom-pom. We're just going to cut them in thin strips. These are about maybe 1/2 inch, give or take, and just going to cut them until you have a whole ton. I don't know how many we had. I didn't count, but it was a ton. So I'm just going to wrap them around my 4 fingers. Now my 4 fingers are a little spread wide. So use your whatever you want. You can, whatever size you want, just roll it around. And then once you have them rolled, you just want to take one of the longer strips and then we're going to tie it around the center. If you created a pom-pom with like yarn, same concept except with fabric. So we're just going to tie it around right in the center and make a very simple knot, just like this. We're creating a pom-pom for a pen. Now, this will be a great craft you can make with your kiddos. Once it's tight in the center, we're going to cut open all the loops using my scissors. Same thing on the other side. And then you just want to fluff it. Once all the loops are cut, fluff, fluff, fluff until you kind of have everything loose falling off. And then you just want to take it and just kind of trim off anything that's uneven so you have a nice rounded pom-pom. Then you're going to take a pen. Now make sure that the pen is not the kind that you click, but to have a cap. And then you just want to place a little bit of glue right there on the inside. Hold the pen until it hardens. And then take the leftover one that you used to tie it. And then just wrap it around the top. Now I am inserting it inside the little clip that you can put paper on. That way it's not going to go anywhere. And just secure it with a little bit of hot glue. And it tightens really well. And now you have a fun little pom-pom you can use to write notes or just keep on your desk, wherever you want. How fun. You can then use this and make this for any season. But what do you think of this one? Let me know down in the comments. We're going to start with this wooden plaque, which Dollar Tree carries year-round in their crafting aisle. It is a bit rough on the edges, so I'm just going to give it a light sand to remove some of the splinters. This is just a 220 sandpaper, and we're just going to dust it well, and then we're going to give the edge one coat of Waverly Chalk Paint in the white. We just need the edge because we are going to be adding the scarf on the top. I did only one coat because the pigmentation on this chalk paint is amazing. I'm using a small brush because I don't want it to be too much on the top surface. Once I finish that, I'm going to add one coat of the Mod Podge. I'm just going to add a kind of like a medium to light coat. Once it's completely covered, I'm going to put that to the side and let it dry. I recently learned about this technique, where is the iron-on technique, and it is fantastic. I'll show you. All right. We are going to add one of these sawtooth hooks to the back of it. We're just going to screw it in with my drill, and then this is the beautiful scarf we're going to be using. Isn't this design so beautiful? The colors are perfect. I'm going to cut off a piece, place it on top. Now the Mod Podge is already dry. We added the scarf, and now we're adding some parchment paper, and we're just going to iron right over it. This worked like magic. I'm a true believer, so thank you to all of you who suggested this technique. If you have any other techniques, write them down in the comments. I'd love to hear. Look how good that is on. All right, I'm going to use a very sharp, very new blade for my X-Acto knife, and we're just going to kind of cut the scarf off of the edge. Now, you can use your scissors, but because this wood piece has a beveled edge, it made it a little difficult, so I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife, and it worked really well. I'm going to add one more coat of the Mod Podge. This is just to seal everything and make sure it's nice and secure, and then let that dry. Once dry, we are going to use my nail filer, and I'm just going to sand down the very edge where the scarf is just to remove some of the fuzzies, and then dust it really well. Dollar Tree has these beautiful hooks. They are gorgeous, and they come in 3 different colors. I'm going to use a white one for this one. It comes with the screws that you need for it. What a great find for $1.25. I'm going to center it right on the board, and we're just going to screw it in. That's it. Easy, quick. What a great way to really bring this hook to a whole new level. I love the color combinations. Definitely one of my favorites from today, but let me know what you think down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to take a piece of poster board. It doesn't matter. It could be a scrap piece. I just want it to be long enough to create 2 beautiful bookmarks. You know that I love making bookmarks, and I hope I show you enough variations where you can use these for yourself or to gift them. And I love the way these turned out. You have to watch this. All right. So I created a first one that's 7.5 inches long by 2.25 of an inch thick. Okay, wide. And then I used that one to create a second one and cut it. This is the scarf that we're going to use it for. This one, it is gorgeous. And we're going to attach it on the matte side of the poster board. You know what I'm talking about. Poster board has a side that's a little bit of a sheen and then a matte side. I'm going to add Mod Podge to the matte side. And I'm just going to add the same thing we did earlier. Just a medium to light coat. Let it dry and then place the scarf right on top. Once it is in, we're going to add the parchment paper and then just iron it on. Perfect. Let me tell you, it worked on wood it worked on paper. This is just an awesome technique. So once I have it ironed on, I'm using my mini press, but you can use your iron if you'd like. We are going to cut off the excess scarf from around, and then I am going to use my pinking shears, but you can use your scissors, your X-Acto knife, whatever you want, okay? I just thought this would give it a nice look, nice texture. So I'm just going to use these shears to cut all the way around. So I'm just barely going into the poster board, and because the Mod Podge created a nice, thick, and hard surface with the scarf, the shears really worked. So I did the same thing on the other one as well. Once they were nicely trimmed, I'm just going to add one more layer of Mod Podge. Now you can do this before you cut them as well. You don't have to do this in this order. And I'm going to put them to the side to dry. Again, this is just to add one more layer and seal everything in place. These are looking gorgeous. Isn't that design beautiful? All right, so we're going to bring in these two ribbon from Dollar Tree. This blue one really complements the design very well. I'm just going to make a very simple bow. So I'm just going to loop two sides and then just kind of tie it in a knot. You know what I'm talking about. And then just keep adjusting until you have a size of a bow that you want. I want this one to be nice and petite. So then I'm going to trim off the edges in a, or the excess in an angled cut and hot glue it to the top. Look how dainty and cute this looks. I'm going to do the same thing with the beige ribbon, but you can use anything you want. You can also punch a hole and then just thread some ribbon and make a knot. Keep it simple. That's fine too. Now, Dollar Tree has these butterfly stickers in their sticker aisle, and they are gorgeous. They have a metallic look, and I just thought they had a very good design that really complements these bookmarks. So you can skip this part as you want. I'm going to add a small one right here on top of this one. I'm going to add two on each bookmark, a small one and a large one. We're going to add this medium-sized one here to the bottom of the other one, and then keep adding them until I kind of like the look, but I don't want to overwhelm it. I just want to add a touch of beautiful design. I gotta tell you, these are gorgeous. These will make great gifts. You can also write a personalized note on the back of each. What do you think of this one? Let me know down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to start with this beautiful scarf. Look at these colors, and they look great with my nails today. This Breathe wooden word is also from Dollar Tree, and we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to add a medium to light coat of Mod Podge on the top, but we are going to first just lightly sand those edges. They were a bit splintery, and I just didn't like that look, so I just smoothed it out with my nail filer. Now, this is the Mod Podge and the brush that I'm going to be using, small brush, and the Mod Podge that I'm using is a matte finish. That's the one that I normally use. I do have a glossy one that I use for other projects, but this one I like for this technique. But I've never used the glossy, but go ahead and use whatever you have and let me know if it works. Same thing, just a medium to light top coat, and then we're going to set that to the side, and look how beautiful. It just looks the same. All right, but it's on there. We're going to take this scarf, we're going to cut off a piece from it, and we're just going to place it right on top, and then the parchment paper, and then ironing it. Again, use your regular iron if you'd like. Now I'm going to speed it up just a little bit. I was taking my time, just enjoying the process. I just love crafting. I love just taking the time and really enjoying the process. All right, so once I had it attached, we are going to remove the excess scarf with just my scissors, just so that there's not so much hanging around, I guess. And then we're going to use my X-Acto knife, and this took a little while. Okay, so I'm going to really speed it up here for you. But it took a while because you have to get through all the edges and then between the letters. Yeah, so just have a book, some music, a movie. It doesn't matter. Just enjoy the process. And then once it's done, we're going to add one more coat of the Mod Podge, again, just on top to seal everything in and make it nice and sturdy. Then we're going to set it to the side and let it dry. Once dry, I am going to lightly sand those edges once again, just to remove any fuzzies from the scarf. And I'm going to use my nail filer because it can get in those nice tight corners. All right, we're going to use this acrylic marker. You can use whatever you have on hand. I'm just going to line the edges just a little bit. This is going to add a couple things. It's going to add dimension, a little bit of brightness on the edges to kind of create an edge and also give it a sense of distress. But you don't have to do this part. You can skip it. You can also do it very lightly with white paint and a brush if you don't have a white marker. I have these on my Amazon store if you want to check them out. They're really good, and they are down in the description box. But look how lovely this looks. Oh my word, it was already very pretty. But adding the scarf, the texture, the colors, perfect for summer. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to take this magnetic board. It's already framed, and although it is cardboard on the back, it is metal in the front, and it is such a fun crafting tool to have in your crafting studio. All right, we're going to paint the edge white. This is Waverly Chalk Paint in the white. I'm just going to do one coat because we are going to heavily distress it. But if you don't like that look, just go ahead and give it a full coverage and then put it to the side and dry. This little rooster is a wooden one. I love the style. It's so cute. I used it for a previous project and then I didn't need it anymore. So I'm just going to give it one coat of the same Waverly white chalk paint, and then we're going to set it to the side again to dry. While that's drying, we are now going to add the one layer of Mod Podge onto the metal surface here on the board. Again, this is the same brush, same matte finish Mod Podge. Once it was completely covered, put it to the side to dry. The little rooster is dry, so we're just going to sand it down just a bit. We're just going to distress it to match the entire look. And we're going to sweep it really well. Just dust it really well, remove all the dust. And then we're going to bring in the beautifully designed scarf. This one has gorgeous colors. I'm going to cut off a piece that will fit perfectly right there on the board. We're going to center it, and yes, I forgot the parchment paper. But it worked. Nothing happened. Now, I'm not recommending it. Please use this parchment paper. It's there for a reason, apparently. But hey, it's okay. We survived it. It worked really well. And I'm going to use my X-Acto knife to remove the excess scarf from the edges. Just take your time. Again, I sped it up here just a little bit, but be careful, of course. It's very sharp. Remove the excess, and then we are going to make sure that all those tiny little corners are going to be in there. And then we are going to distress it using my sanding block. Again, if you don't like this look, go ahead and skip it and just leave it nicely full covered. We're going to add a sawtooth hook to this one as well. We're just going to hammer this one in. So easy to attach. I get these on Amazon, and yes, I do have them in my Amazon store. I'm going to add the little rooster here with a little bit of hot glue. And then these little magnetic hooks are really cool. It'll stick right onto it, and it makes a great message board, a great board for a picture frame. The possibilities are endless with this. How cute is this? So versatile, and you can use any design you want. Let me know what you think of this one. We're going to start with a little one. They come in two different sizes, a larger and a smaller one. I'm going to take one of the smaller ones, and we're just going to remove the lid because we're not going to need it, and the sticker. We also want to wipe them really, really well because they do get a little dusty and smudges get on them really easily. The first thing we want to do with this one is add jute string to the thread, to the top portion. And that's only because it'll be easier now than later after I've added more on it. I'm going to secure it in place with hot glue. And then we're going to start layering some ribbon and fabric on the center. Now, this is leftover fabric. This is burlap fabric from Dollar Tree. I frayed the edges a little bit more by removing a couple of the strands. And I'm just going to wrap it around the center, securing it with hot glue. And then we're just going to continue to layer and just make it nice and festive. This fabric is also from Dollar Tree, leftover from another project. I'm going to cut off a piece just about maybe 1 inch thick, and then we're going to layer it right on top of the burlap fabric. And then we are going to do the same thing with this bright yellow ribbon from Hobby Lobby and just add it right there, right in the center of everything, again, securing it with hot glue. Now, we do want to add some florals on it, but you can leave it as is if you'd like. I'm going to start with these little leaves from this pick from Walmart. I'm going to separate the leaves, and then we're going to take the little flower, remove the little stem, and I do want to darken up that center. I'm just going to add a little bit of brown paint and just dab, 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 just to add a little dimension and make it look a little bit more like a sunflower to match the design of the fabric. Once it's all done, I'm just going to attach it to the jar towards the right side. So it's going to be a little bit to the side of the jar, but you can place it in the center. It doesn't matter, wherever you want. Once the flower was attached, I'm going to add a couple of the leaves, one on each side with a little bit of hot glue. Now you can add whatever you want. You can use this for school purposes and maybe add pencils. You can also add paintbrushes, which is what I did in here in the display. But look how adorable this looks. The colors are stunning. What do you think? Let me know what you think of this one. Dollar Tree DIY craft, we are going to take one of the larger mason jars from Dollar Tree, remove the lid, remove the sticker, and wipe it really, really well. We're going to take some of these paper, this is just school paper, and we're just going to start tearing it into smaller pieces, some medium size, some smaller ones, and we're going to do 2 pages, but I ended up using about 1.5. We're also going to use some Mod Podge, and we're just going to start Mod Podging it all around the jar. Now, of course, I'm going to speed this up for you quite a bit because it did take a while. Just put on a music or a TV show and just start Mod Podging it, adding it on the jar, and then making sure that you add another layer of Mod Podge on top of the paper. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. I love Mod Podging. This is what it's looking like. So it has a school paper theme. We're just going to trim off some of that excess paper from the top. We are going to cover the thread, but at least we'll trim that off. We're going to layer some ribbon just like we did earlier on the first craft. This one's going to look a little different. We're just going to start with this burlap ribbon from burlapribbon.com or burlapfabric.com. And we're going to attach it with hot glue. And then again, we're going to layer several ribbons just to make it look nice and layered and textured. And then we're going to follow up with this white one and then a small thin blue one. All right, it's taking shape so nicely. So we're going to add white ribbon to the top thread. This is just to clean it off and just kind of make it look nice and finished. And just a little hot glue in the beginning and the end will do. Now, I want this to be kind of like a teacher gift. So like a first day of school teacher gift that you can give your kiddos to give to their teacher. So I am going to take one of these new pencils from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to cut it off, leaving about 4 inches, give or take. And then I'm going to sharpen it just like that. And it's going to look like a small little tiny pencil. How cute. Now we're going to start adding some embellishments. We're going to add these little floral picks and these little blue florals from Walmart. Gorgeous colors. It complements the design so beautifully. We're going to add them right there. And then we're going to add the pencil right there towards the left side on a tilted motion there. How adorable is this? You can add pencils. You can add pans. Even a floral arrangement. Love, love, love the way this one turned out. But let me know what you think down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to take a smaller jar from Dollar Tree and we're going to remove the lid, the sticker, and of course we want to wipe it really well. For this one, we're going to give it 2 coats of Waverly Chalk Pen in the white. But again, if you want to do whatever the design, that's fine. Dollar Tree carries a vinyl that you can use with your cutting machine, but you can also use in multiple ways for crafting. I'm going to take the black tone one and we're going to cut off a piece from it because we are creating a cow-themed mason jar. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so cute. So we're going to take strips of this vinyl and we're just going to cut it into shapes of what will look like the fur of the cow. And we're going to do several pieces, but again, just cut as many as you need depending on the size of your jar. Once I had them cut into the amount that I thought I needed, I'm just going to start removing the back just like a sticker and placing them on what is now a dry jar. It looks so pretty and matte. And I'm going to start placing them here and there until the entire jar is covered. How adorable is this looking? All right, so we're going to take more of that jute string. We're just going to add it to the top. We're going to keep it simple, kind of like a farmhouse cottage country look for this one. We're just going to keep wrapping it around, covering most of that thread on the top and securing it with a little bit of hot glue. You can add ribbon, you can add florals, you can add whatever you want, of course, but I'm just going to keep it on the simple side. Now on the inside, we're just going to, again, keep it simple. We're just going to add some of this grassy picks from Dollar Tree. Cut some of the stem off because they are a little tall. spread it inside of the jar, and then add this little tiny pick from Walmart. And I think this is adorable. There's something about simple crafts that I just absolutely love. Quick, easy, and beautiful. What do you think of this one? Let me know. Start with one of these greeting card stacks. I don't know where we got it from, but it's in my crafting room. And we're going to take several colors and designs that are so beautiful. I'm going to cut each one in a 3 by 4.5 and then mark the top in 1 inch and then 1.5 inch going from the sides. That way we can create tags just like this. So again, 3 by 4.5 and then just angle cut those edges. We're going to create 3 of them, but of course you can create as many as you want or need in whatever size you want to. So we're just going to use my rotary cutter, but of course you can use the scissors as well. Once we had all 3 made, look how cute they look. We're going to take those and then we're going to take a leftover cutting mat that I have from another project and we're just going to place it on top and trace it and cut. We're going to do 3 of them, of course, because we want to create layered tags for gifts or for whatever you want. Once you have them nicely cut, we're going to stack them right on top of each other. And we're just going to mark with a pencil first and then punch a hole right there. You can use a hole puncher as well, but the Crop-A-Doll works really well. And I do have it in my Amazon store if you want to check it out. I'm going to do the same thing on the other 2, mark and punch the hole so that we can then thread some ribbon right through it. I'm going to use ribbon that really complements the design overall. And we're just going to use this blue one for this tag and then just tie it in a very simple knot. Although you can also use a little bow and that will look really cute as well. Look how adorable that looks, so professional. And then of course you can write a personalized message on the back. I'm going to do the same thing with the other 2 tags. For this one, we're going to use the orange ribbon just because it's going to complement these stickers. Dollar Tree's sticker aisle is awesome, and they always come with different holiday theme ones like these pumpkin and fall theme. I'm going to grab this one, and I'm just going to place it right there in the center. It just complements the color of the tag, the ribbon. It's just beautiful. Look how gorgeous that looks. For the 3rd one, we're going to do the same thing with white ribbon. We're going to cut it, tie it in a very simple knot. And we're going to use another sticker. This time we're going to use these farmhouse style stickers that I use all the time in my crafting. I'm going to use this bottom one here, and it already has a little sticky tab in the back, but I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue just to make it nice and sturdy. And that's it. We're going to leave them nice and simple. I absolutely love these tags. I'm a little obsessed and I want to recreate them over and over again. But let me know what you think down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to use some of these tumbling tower blocks. These are the Dollar Tree Jenga block style, and I always put them in a basket because it's so much easier to just keep contained. I'm going to start hot gluing several of them together. As a matter of fact, we're going to do this a lot, so I'm going to speed up a lot of the process. But basically, I'm just going to create a square, and I'm going to alternate the colors between the darker blocks as well as the lighter ones. And then once I have one square created, I'm going to make a replica of that same one because we want to have 2 of them. And then once you have those finished, we are going to just then hot glue 4 of these, just like you see here, alternating the color. And we're going to create 4 of these because we are creating a lantern. Recently, I did another video using these Jenga blocks and I did a different lantern. So today we're going to do a completely different one and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. So now we're going to make everything and just put together. We're going to just hot glue each little tower right there in each corner. And we are going to add another one here in just a minute and you're going to see what I'm talking about. Then we're going to place the other square right on top to create that nice rectangular box, just like this. Hot glue goes a long ways. It really sticks really well. All right, so now we're going to bring in the cutting mats and we're just going to trace one side. This is just to give us a starting point. We're going to do a lot of trimming and a lot of trimming because I'd rather start a little larger and then trim as needed so that we get the size that we need. So here I am putting it inside and I think you know where we're going with this, right? We just want to create walls, this frosted wall look to this lantern. So I'm going to keep it just measuring, placing, cutting, and trimming as needed. And this is when I realized I need to add one more. So I'm just going to add and double up each layer on each side because we are going to create 4 walls and we want to have enough space so that we can hot glue each panel to each side. So again, we're just going to keep cutting, measuring, and hot gluing as needed until we have sides that fit and are ready to create a nice lantern. So as you can see, we are just attaching one panel at a time, just adding hot glue to the edges, and it's looking so pretty. And again, a little bit of hot glue goes a long way. Now that my lantern is pretty much built, I do want to cover the top portion. So I'm just going to add 1 row of these blocks, just covering up that top portion. And then I'm going to create a smaller version of it to hot glue it right on top and create that layered top look that a lot of lanterns have. So we're just going to alternate the colors once again to keep that same pattern and then do these final ones and then just hot glue them right there at the top. Then of course you can add whatever you want inside, fairy lights or faux candles. I added a battery operated faux candle and I love the way this turned out. I'm obsessed with it. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to start with this framed mirror that I found at the thrift store very recently. It's actually an IKEA frame, and I found it for 99 cents. I thought it was a great deal. It's solid wood, and I knew I had to take it home and do something with it. We're going to remove the plastic from it, of course, and then we want to remove the mirror from it. So I'm just going to score it with my blade knife, and then we're just going to carefully, using my little tiny screwdriver, we're just going to lift it up. And it really worked really well. And then, of course, we got to clean up any excess glue. This mirror was thick, let me tell you. And I had a lot of glue. So we're just going to take a little bit of time and just clean it up so it looks nice and professional. We're going to take the mirror. We're going to use it as a guide to trace onto one of the cutting mats. And then we're just going to cut it with our scissors. And, of course, I need 2 of them because I'm going to create a pocket. And I'll show you why here in just a minute. So we're going to create a second one matching in size. And then we want to make sure that they're both going to fit inside the opening of the frame. We're going to paint the frame in this beautiful sandstone color by Waverly. We're going to go 2 coats and then we're going to put it to the side and let it dry. So I told you we're going to create a pocket, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to take both cutting mat pieces and we're just going to staple 3 sides using regular staples. Make sure you do it as close to the edge as possible. We're going to leave one side open because we want to add fairy lights. Isn't that going to look so cute? All right, we are going to poke a hole right there in one corner because these fairy lights, I want to be able to just thread it through the inside out. And that way, when we attach it to the frame, we can leave the battery pack out and it's all going to make sense once we start attaching it. So once I had it threaded through, we're just going to light them up and then we're just going to place them right inside the pocket, making sure that they're nicely in there. And then we're going to close up the pocket by stapling the other side, again, very carefully, making sure we're not stapling over the lights. Such an easy and such a fun way to use these fairy lights. Now we're going to put everything together and we're just going to attach the lights right there to the center using hot glue. And then we are going to attach the battery pack using a staple and hot glue. This is coming along so beautifully. All right, we're going to drill a hole right there on the left bottom corner so that we can attach this beautiful, vibrant sunflower. We're going to add it with hot glue, and then we're going to add some extra little leaves here to add color, texture, and just make it a little bit more grand. And then we want to hang this piece. Of course, you can add sawtooth hooks to it. I decided to just add a string because it's not that heavy. So we're going to add jute string using hot glue on each side, and then a little bit of tape, masking tape from Dollar Tree, and hot glue just to secure it in place. And then that's it for this one. I love the way this one turned out. Such a beautiful piece, easy to light up at night, and wait until you see it in a darker room. But let me know what you think of this one. this one. It has such a summer vibe. Wanted to use it. I'm also going to use this $3 board from Dollar Tree Plus. I love having these in my crafting stashes because they're great for crafts. I'm going to use a technique that so many of you have recommended when Mod Podging, and that's the ironing technique. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a pretty good layer of Mod Podge on all 3 planks, and then we're going to put that to the side and let it completely dry. Again, I have never used this technique, so we'll see how it goes. Once it's fully dry, we're going to place the design where I want it, and then we're going to place parchment tape paper right on top. Then we're going to use an iron. Now I have this little mini iron from Cricut. I'm just going to use this one, but you can also use an iron if you want. I'm going to speed it up quite a bit because I did move quite slow. I want to make sure that that glue really melts underneath the design. And then once you are done, it's supposed to attach. I didn't know what to expect, but I got to tell you, I was pleasantly surprised. The design fully stayed. I even tested with a little shake and wiggle. It worked, my friends. All right, we're going to use my sanding block and we are going to remove the excess paper from the sides. I'm going to do a downward motion. This is going to remove the excess paper as well as distress those corners and edges. I'm going to use my X-Acto knife to remove the paper in between the planks, and then I'm going to use a nail filer to give it that distressed look that I really like and really goes with the whole design. During the summer months, Dollar Tree carries these starfishes and they come 3 in a pack, and I love using them for crafts. I'm going to use just one of them and I'm just going to hot glue it to the upper right hand corner. Now you can totally leave this as is and it looks very pretty, but I wanted to add these picks. These are very coastal summer picks that you can find at Dollar Tree for $1.25. I'm going to pull it apart just in different picks and the size that really matches the design. And then we're just going to start placing them kind of underneath these starfish with a little bit of hot glue, and just going to keep adding and cutting the picks as needed. You can add whatever else you want. You can add seashells to it, whatever you want. I did want it to keep it a little bit on the simple side. I gotta tell you, love this design. I love the natural worn design that it has, and how fun to use a calendar page. Let me know what you think of this one. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to take this beautiful calendar and we are going to use this patriotic 4th of July or Memorial Day design. I love that they have these flat canvases. This is one of their larger ones. These are great for larger projects and it fits perfect with this design. I'm going to lightly sand down the edges just to give it a little bit more of a worn look. Now the page actually fits 2 sides on the canvas. This is me just adding a little bit of distress on the design. For this project, I am going to do the old-fashioned Mod Podging. We're just going to add a layer of Mod Podge and place the design. I thought, let's give it a try. Let me tell you, friends, it wrinkled up. I'm not gonna lie. Now, what made it work is that the design itself is very farmhouse, very distressed look. So it was actually okay, but otherwise, I definitely recommend the ironing technique. All right, I'm going to tape the top portion. I want to make some red stripes. This is just to fill in that top portion that is bare. We're going to add some florals anyway, so you can always leave as is. I just thought adding these stripes would really bring everything together. I'm going to give it what would look like a sloppy coat, which it is, but basically I just wanted to have a distressed look and kind of match the overall look. We're going to remove the tape and reveal the stripes, and we're just going to put that to the side fairly quickly. It dried. It is chalk paint. This is Farmhouse Red by Rust-Oleum. All right, we're going to take a piece of foam. Once everything is dry, we're just going to add it right there in the center so that we can add some greenery picks. Although you can leave the design as is, add a hanging rope in the back, and you are all done. But I love my greenery, so you can always skip this part, but I am going to add some of these greenery picks. These I get on Amazon. I'm just going to add some towards the right, the left, and then we're going to add a beautiful blue flower. This is from Walmart. Walmart has great floral selections, and I just thought that blue really complements the design. I'm going to add additional picks here and there just to kind of fill in some of those empty spaces, and then I decided to add a white flower. You absolutely do not have to add the white flower. I just thought it really complements the whole design. Now we are going to add a hanging rope to the back. We're going to hot glue it in place. We're also going to tape it so that it does not fray on us. And that's it for this one. This is such a fun project to do. What a fun design this is. Love the way it turned out. The size is amazing. Perfect for the holidays. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to take a beautiful bee style design that this calendar has. Love this design. I've been such in a mood for bee decor. Love it. We're going to do a lot of cutting here, so take your time if you're going to recreate this one. I'm going to cut off the beehive, both bees, as well as the be kind phrase. Now, just add music, watch a movie. It did take some time, but slowly but surely we were able to get everything cut. For the be kind, I did have to use a combination of scissors as well as my X-Acto knife to really get inside each letter. Again, take your time. It does take some time, but it is so worth it. If you have a cutting machine, however, you can certainly do your own design and use that. But for those that do not, this is a great alternative. Dollar Tree carries these planked boards year round, and some come in a round shape, some square, and different colors. I'm going to use this one. I love the colors that it already has. I think it complements the design really well, but I am going to paint the beads. So I'm just going to tape the bottom, and I'm going to use this beautiful milk paint. It's Venetian Yellow by Rust-Oleum Milk Paint. Love the color, and I'm just going to paint each bead slowly but surely, and then of course let them dry. I think this really adds a pop of color, and it kind of brings everything together as a design. Now it's time to start placing each piece. Now this is a little larger, so I just thought, why not make it look like it's overflowing on the edge? Love that I chose to do that. I'm just going to take my time folding and placing as needed, and then we're going to add Mod Podge and start placing it. I'm not going to do the iron technique on this one. These pieces are small enough, and it actually turned out really well without ironing it. So I'm just going to take my time, keep adding Mod Podge. I added the beehive first, then I'm going to add both bees, and then I'm going to add the be kind phrase one by one, adding Mod Podge as needed. I'm going to let everything dry, and once it was dry, I'm going to add one final layer of Mod Podge over everything, and then I'm going to set it to the side and let it dry. Once dry, I'm going to take a permanent marker, and we're just going to finish those beautiful little lines. I think it complements and it adds a nice touch. And then on the black surface, I'm going to use a white permanent marker and add the lines all to the bee. You can leave this as is, okay? But I am going to add a flower because it feels like the bees need to be flying somewhere. So I'm just going to add the leafy parts, then the yellow flower on top, and some of the greenery picks on each side. And they just looks like the bees are just flying towards this cute little flower. This has to be my favorite. I love the way this one turned out. How cute is this? How fun and how easy. We're going to start with this beautiful wreath form. It has a kind of like a tire kind of look. I'm also going to be using Rust-Oleum white spray paint. We're just going to take it outside. We're going to spray it a couple of times until it's nice and covered. I am going to place it underneath a fan to speed up the drying process. And this is what it looks like. So cute. We're going to take a pool noodle, which you can find during the spring and summer season at Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut off about maybe 7-8 inches off of it, cut open with the scissors one of the side, and then we're just going to slide it right in and secure it with hot glue. This is going to help me add some florals to the wreath form. It is bright green, so we are going to cover it just a bit using some burlap ribbon. You can use any other ribbon you want or fabric. We're going to secure it with hot glue. And then this netting kind of fabric, it's gorgeous. I got from burlapfabric.com a long time ago. I still have several yards left over. I'm just going to tie it around on that same area, going from the center, kind of going towards the top and the bottom. I am tying it with jute string. That way it blends in really well with the material, but it'll hold it in place. This greenery pick, it's gorgeous from Dollar Tree. It has long, very flexible greenery, and we're just going to attach it with hot glue in the pool noodle foam as well as jute string to tie it going upwards as well as going downwards. And again, it just works really well. It blends in very nicely, and then I can adjust it in the angle that I want. We're going to add some of these greenery and yellow tone picks also from Dollar Tree. We're just going to start adding them here and there to fill in a little bit. I ended up having to add another whole pick just to add fullness, and you'll see that here in a minute. But I'm just going to start adding some of the picks, again, adding with hot glue. This is the orb we're going to be using. It's a beautiful navy tone. I'm going to cut off the excess jute string from the top, and then I'm going to add some towards the kind of like in between the netting. That way we can attach it around the wreath form and it's not going to go anywhere. I'm going to add, here's that extra pick, and I am going to add another one actually in just a bit, just to kind of, again, make it very full. Dollar Tree also has these starfish. They're plastic. They come in a set of 3. I'm going to take a couple of them. One of them's going to go right next to the orb. We're going to hot glue it in place. The other one's going to go a little bit lower, and again, we're just going to hot glue it in place just to kind of fill in and give it that coastal beachy look that I'm going for. And here's what I realized, that I just needed an extra pick from Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to add hot glue and then just place it again right there inside that foam. That really filled it in. All right, these sand dollars are also there at Dollar Tree. They come also 3 in a pack. I'm just going to use one of them. We're just going to nestle it right there on the top portion and attach it with hot glue. Dollar Tree also has these pieces. I've never seen them before. They have either a sand dollar, a seashell, or a sailboat, and they have these little wooden pieces hanging from it. I'm going to take the wooden pieces. I'm just going to attach it towards the bottom. I just want to add a little bit more texture and color to the wreath, and then we're going to put the sailboat right inside, right there, underneath the florals and underneath the orb. This is just going to be gorgeous. I'm going to hot glue it in place. It's not that heavy. I'm going to make sure that greenery is popping through right there. Stunning. I love it. I put it first because it's my favorite from today. Love the design. What do you think of it? Let me know down in the comments. Dollar Tree DIY craft. We're going to start with this little milk jug jar. I got this at Facebook Marketplace a long time ago. I'm going to fill it in with some sand again. And this time we're also going to add some of these blue glass rocks. But here's the thing. I thought this was going to look better. I wanted them to kind of show in between the sand. It didn't work out. Yep. They were covered as the sand was moved around, and yeah, they just got hidden. But anyways, I just thought I'd show you the process. All right, we're going to take one of those greenery and put it in there from Dollar Tree, as well as some of these coastal ones that you can find in the summer section at Dollar Tree, and place it right in front. How cute and easy. We're going to use the teal orb for this one, and we are going to poke another hole because we're going to light this one up again. And the same thing, we're going to let it cool down, and then we're going to thread more LED lights right inside. This one we are going to place right inside the arrangement, but we're going to use this balloon stick. You can find these in the party aisle. And I did cut off quite a bit of it because I needed to be shorter. We're going to thread the battery pack right through the top, and then we're going to add hot glue to the rim. And this is how we're going to attach the orb. It worked perfect. Highly recommend this if you're going to recreate this. Once it's hardened, we're just going to place it right inside. And then the battery pack, we're just going to hide in the back right there inside. Nobody's going to see it. All right, we're going to take some burlap ribbon and we're going to fold it in half, cut off excess, and we're going to hot glue it around the rim of the arrangement just to kind of cover that thread. We're going to take another one of those little seahorses in the clothespin, and this one we're just going to attach right there in the front. How stinking cute. Love, love, love the way this one turned out. It glows beautifully in the dark. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we're going to take this piece of scrap wood. It was part of an arrangement that I had on the wall that I removed. And then this relaxed wooden wood from Dollar Tree has a beautiful nautical rope on design on it. And we're just going to remove the little hooks from it because we're not going to need it. We are going to attach it to the board, but I am going to add a couple of these tumbling blocks, Jenga blocks from Dollar Tree, just to add thickness and more stability. We're going to add hot glue all the way on the bottom, and then we are going to place it right there. And I'm going to add one more block behind the art just to kind of hide it, but also add more stability. We're going to add a teal orb on one side, a clear one on the other side, and then we're going to add greenery. This is just going to mimic what will look like seaweed. And we're just going to add it onto some foam and then add the foam onto the board. And this will hold it in place nicely. I'm going to do that one more time on the other side over there by the R. And then we're going to add some extra little pieces underneath each orb just to kind of fill it in and bring everything together. I'm going to add some of these felt pads on the bottom. This is a piece of scrap wood, so I don't want it to scratch any surface. So I'm going to add one in each corner. You can find these at Dollar Tree, usually right around where like the car area is. But nonetheless, I love the way this one turned out. It's such a great piece to add in a mantle or console table. Love the look. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. I have another video here for you with tons more of Dollar Tree DIY crafts inspiration. Check it out. I'll see you later and have a blessed day. Bye.
Tell your friends that this might take some time and you'll be back.